Live.
Hello everybody, my name is Michael Joseph. I'm the president of the Detroit chapter of CBTU, and we are here at the historic, oh thank you brothers, I did that on purpose. We are at the historic TULC. Everybody give up for TULC! Yeah! We have a great crowd of young people. I'm going to tell you some of the different logos that we have here. If I miss your logo, then shout it out because it's all about labor and African American leadership. We have logo 1191, logo 207, logo 1, logo 6000, CEIU. You can see I spelled that right. And of course, one of the oldest logos in the history of labor in the world, my logo, logo 600! You gotta give me a privilege of going live, but we're gonna get right to it, everybody. As you can see, I am sitting here between two powerhouse men who have committed to service and helping our community. We are blessed and honored to have with us a senator from New Jersey, Senator Cory. What's up, my man? Good to see you, sir. I was teasing him, I knew when he was a mayor. And you guys know his story. He actually lived in the community with folk. He wasn't living in fancy, with George Jefferson up in the high rise. He was down there where the folks were that he served, and we respect and honor you, sir. And of course, I'm named as Lieutenant Governor of the state of Michigan, Garland Gilcrest. It's good to have you, sir. So we're going to get right to it, everybody. The question, the big elephant in the room, is the temperature of politics in America. It is vile. We just saw this Nancy Pelosi's husband being attacked, and some of the horrible jokes some of these people made. How do we bring back civility and respect into the political arena?
I got to defer to the Lieutenant Governor. Thank you.
Well, first of all, it's good to be back here at TULC. I know my cousin Nelson Jack Edwards is one of the founders here at TULC, one of the earliest leaders in the labor movement in America that started here in Detroit. So I want to thank all of you for what you represent and who you show up for, because who you show up for is one another. So I want to say God bless you to every level. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for the work that you have done that has led to better outcomes for all of us in the community. On this question, I got to tell you, it frustrates me that the question of civility always gets asked to us as Democrats. And I think we have to be real about what the source of the incivility is. And the source of the incivility is only coming from one side and one place. And it's coming from people who are so uncomfortable, angry, and upset about y'all. Uncomfortable, angry, and upset about y'all, about your progress. Most of the people in this room are black. And you've made progress. You work hard. You raise a family. You own your home. You start a business. You show up. And that has made people so upset your progress that they want to do harm and danger to you and those whom you support and who represent you. And that is unacceptable. And one of the things that I respect so much about the labor movement, it is the manifestation of their strength being in numbers. That we can overcome this violence, this politics of attempted assassination that we saw here in Michigan when they came for the governor. Or at least they tried to. But our politics of aspiration and inclusion and opportunity and justice can, must, and will prevail. And so I think the way to reclaim civility in these politics is we need to beat the incivility. And so this election represents an opportunity for us to do that, for us to stomp that out. And doing that in Michigan, I think will send a stronger statement than frankly it does anywhere else in the country. Because like I said, they came for us here in Michigan specifically. And so when we beat it, and when we beat it in the right way in Michigan, it's a demonstration that our politics that includes everybody, that has a place for everybody, that is not scared of people of color, that's not afraid of women, that's not afraid of voter turnout, that's not afraid of policies that actually deliver outcomes to everybody's community, like that we can win with that kind of platform, That's what defeats incivility. Is victory and then justice that we make sure all of our communities feel.
Thank you for having me on my show. I can't tell you what it is an honor to sit here with your Lieutenant Governor. But on a very personal level, before I address the question, I just want to say thank you to all the folks in labor that are here. I am here because of Michigan labor. When I mean I'm here, not physically, I'm in this world. Because when my granddaddy was down in Monroe, Louisiana, with my grandmother, in the Depression, they came to Detroit. And my grandfather got a job on the assembly lines and became a member of UAW, became an organizer for UAW, became an activist and a leader. My mom was born in Detroit. I am here because this is my foundation on which I stand. And my grandfather told me, never forget where you came from. And so I'm here because I have not forgotten. And I want to do everything I can to support the working folks who are continuing the legacy of my grandparents. And look, I was raised with this understanding. You can't necessarily control what the world does, but you got to take responsibility to take care of yourself. And so as much hate in the world, as much violence as we're seeing, everybody here knows, especially if you're an African American here, that this ain't nothing new. Come on now. I mean, please. Black folks from the founding of this country have seen the worst types of violence, have seen hate, thousands lynched, the vicious backlash against civil rights. So we can't control that, but we can look to our past to inform our present. And so what King said in the face of viciousness and violence, literally not long before he would himself be assassinated with another act of violence, what was King's instructions to us on how to deal with this? He reminded us what we have to repent for is not just the vitriolic words and violent actions of the bad people, but the appalling silence and inaction of the good people. We have all the power for our own salvation. It is in our hands if we just exercise that power. A great poet, black female poet, said, the most common way people give up their power is not realizing they have it in the first place. So I don't know if we're going to change that legacy of violence. I certainly hope so. But political violence, unfortunately, we've seen too much of in our history. Too much oppression. But what I know we can do is what Lieutenant Governor Gilcrest and Governor Whitmer are saying. They've increased funding to our public schools more than any governor has in many, many years. Well, I'm here, can't control what they're going to do, but I can make sure our kids have fully funded public schools. You want to talk about violence? King called it out. Childhood poverty is a moral obscenity. Poverty is violence.
It's exhausting.
And I'll tell you this, when you all put your Congress people in there, you got some good folks here. I was just with Rashida. I was just with Sister Haley, my sister Brenda Lawrence. They were able to get the earned income tax credit expanded and the child tax credit, which was the biggest middle-class tax cut in the history of this country. They cut child poverty in America, black child poverty, close to 50%. So I could go on. But what we have right now in this room, what folks have who's watching, is power. I don't know what we're going to do to change the minds of those who have so much hate in their heart. But I know that if we get together and show our love, and that's not a deed verb, that's an active verb. If we are lights of love in this country, then we can overcome the darkness and win a day for better generations, for future generations to come.
Trying to segue into the next thing we want to talk about, what you were just talking about in terms of poverty. And we in labor, a lot of times, we take for granted the great things our leadership has negotiated the contract. As labor rises, the entire country rises. But why as Democrats, we don't tell the story, and I say we, refer to you, we don't tell the story of the great things that Democrats have done in terms of the economy. We got the boo-boo bears scaring everybody. But, you know, black folks, we ate pork and beans and a hot dog. We know what it's like, you know, we got to be hungry. But other people can't cope with that. But there are great things that have been done, President Biden's program with economics. Why don't we tell that story?
But we've been spending a whole lot of time telling that story. And I think what we need to do is make sure that all of us are equipped to tell it. Because the truth is, the best messengers for our community are all of y'all, not me. Okay? So it's important that we articulate what we've done and that you take it in your own voice and go share that. Talk about, as the senator referred to, we put more money into public education than ever in the history of public education in the state of Michigan. That means more money for teachers to take care of the adults who take care of our babies. We put more money into expanding access to child care than has ever been put in expanding access to child care in Michigan. That's important to me personally because I got a 3-year-old, but it's also important because that positions our young people to be early readers. And it also opens up opportunities for more people to create these daycares that we need, because every daycare in the state of Michigan has a wait list that's the size of its whole capacity. So we need more people to start those businesses. We launched a program, a $100 million investment to expand, to open 1,000 new child care businesses in Michigan in the next 2 years. And the people who start those businesses in the black community is going to be a whole bunch of black women entrepreneurs. This is about creating a foundation for economic success and opportunity so that more people can be productive. We have the fastest growing economy in the Midwest, and it's not even close. When we say we're creating pathways for people to get these great paying jobs, these union jobs that we're creating with all these roads we're fixing, all these bridges we're repairing, all this internet we're laying, it's because we want people to make sure they can get through the apprenticeship programs that we funded in a way that we've never funded at the state level. We can get people to the 170,000 people in Michigan who are going to community college tuition free because of the work that we did in Michigan Reconnect. Those are people who will have these degrees, who will be qualified for these jobs we create at these battery plants, at these the expansion, the first car plant that was built in the city of Detroit in 30 years. The battery plant we built up north in Big Rapids, in Van Buren Township, in Lansing. The biggest investment ever from General Motors in the history of their economic development activity. So I'm sharing all that because when we talk about the work that we've done, the 30,000 car manufacturing jobs we've created in advanced manufacturing, and we're only building more. We're going to create some more before the end of this year. What I need you to understand is that you are the best messengers. People come to you and ask questions they're not going to ask me. And so we want to make sure that you have everything that you're equipped with to answer it and be honest and be real about it and why it matters to you. And once you tell them that answer, then tell them why they are so important to you that you felt you needed to communicate with them. Because why it's so urgent for you that they know what their power is. The senator said, how we relinquish power is by forgetting it, not by releasing it. Powerful people don't never pass up a chance to exercise their power. We know that as the people who've been oppressed for so long. And so it's our opportunity here and every day to tell that story, to tell it aggressively, to tell it unapologetically about the work that we've done that creates economic opportunity, that lays a foundation for generational wealth. We've invested more in affordable housing and home ownership than ever has been invested in Michigan in the last 75 years, just this last year, to lay a foundation for you to build your family. And that's what this is about for us. So we need everybody to tell that story and tell it aggressively.
When I hear people saying, my vote doesn't count, you know, this is a political game. And we talk about educating people. A lot of people don't realize that 8 out of 10 states in America with the highest poverty are red states, not blue states. And they're changing the narrative about crime. You know, they know how to hit that emotional button. But how do we get people to vote who say, my vote doesn't count?
Well, we got to explain it and let folk understand the reality. First of all, the economy inflation is hurting us. I live in Newark, New Jersey. You all live in this incredible metropolitan area. You know it's hurting us. But there's so much lies and disinformation about the sources of these problems. Everybody's trying to say it's our president's fault. Well, just look around the world. Every other country is suffering with high inflation too. The president caused all that. In fact, other countries are suffering with higher inflation rates. And so the question is who do you want in the driver's seat to deal with this crisis? Well, we just came out of the crisis, or in this crisis of COVID. Let's just compare what they had in the White House, what they do with it, and what do we do with it. I remember those miles-long food lines. How many people remember the people waiting for food? The Republicans voted against when Biden got in, voted against getting people stimulus checks. They voted against expanding the child tax credit. They voted against expanding the earned income tax credit. They voted against cutting prescription drug costs. They voted against lowering the Affordable Care Act costs. I can keep going on and on and on about what they voted against. You want to remember what they voted for? The biggest tax breaks for wealthy people we have seen in generations. It blew a $5 trillion hole. That was their solution. Cut the taxes for the wealthiest of the wealthy. And so I want to know, and I know you all know, but you got to explain to folks, who has your back? I know what this combination, Lieutenant Governor and Governor of this state, have been doing. I mean, heck, they are doing things not only making it easier for working class folks, but they're also showing fiscal responsibility. And they're doing things by bringing people together. I don't know if this is a data point you may not know. In all this time of partisanship, the governor signed 900 bipartisan bills, finding ways to find common ground, not divide folks with extremism, but unify folks to deliver for people in tough times. And so I'll say it again. FDR did not cause the Depression, but during the Depression, he stood up and passed programs that helped people out, to make sure folks had food, make sure folks had jobs. Democratic presidents do that in times of crisis. And let me tell you, there's no Senate seat up. You guys got two phenomenal senators, Stabenow and Peters. Please keep them where they are. But I was one vote shy of making the child tax credit permanent in the Senate. One vote. One vote shy. Or two votes shy of overcoming a filibuster and securing Roe v. Wade as the law of the land. These things are going on such thin margins that if we back out and don't vote, throw up our hands, and forget all the things that we have done to get more people out of prison through the First Step Act, all the things that we have done to make sure black businesses during the pandemic had help PPP loans and the like. If we forget all that to say, oh, I'm cynical, I don't want to vote, then you are surrendering power back to the people that we saw what they did when they had power less than 4 years ago. So this is existential, but what the Lieutenant Governor said, and I'll hand the mic back over, is the most important thing when we leave here or when you turn this program off. It is never about what they are doing. We can sit here and deplore all the tactics. It's about what we're going to do. And everybody in this room, including me, knows somebody that hasn't voted yet. Somebody who doesn't think. We've got to pull folk to the polls and explain to them what's on the line. Because there are people that make things happen, and there are people that ask, what just happened? And I don't want to sit again because we lost the 2016 race and lost 3 Supreme Court justices, and now everything is coming up. Voting rights, women's rights, labor rights, affirmative action. And with voting, when people start seeing this stuff, they start to say, oh, what happened? What happened? Well, what happened was the 2016 election, when we didn't vote. So I don't want to see in 24, 26, and 28, people saying, oh my gosh, Cory, what happened? The stratification of wealth is getting bigger. Cory, what happened? Suddenly public school funding is being cut. What happened? They're taking away my health care. What happened? They're privatizing Social Security. What happened? They're taking away Medicare. What has got to happen is we have got to get involved and get folks to understand that this election is not just an election, it's a larger campaign that's been going on, and if we lose ground, people get hurt.
And we're getting to the close of the program. I appreciate it and the passion and intelligence you brothers are sharing with all of our viewers out here. It was something I had an opportunity to talk to some great men I respect and love, men have mentored me. I talked to Rory Gilcrest, former P.A.W. president. I talked to Bill Lucy last night. We had a wonderful conversation with one of the founders of Nelson Jack Edwards of CBTU. I talked to the president of CBTU, Terry Melvin, and also rank and file folk as well. And one of the things they wanted me to ask you all is about a democratic promise to our community and to our young people. How do we make sure that what we said we're going to do for the young people and the people in our community?
I'm glad you gave the mic for me because he should have the last word. I'm up in the Lieutenant Governor's house. Look, I just, first of all, thank you. Thank you. People, again, I know my history. My Detroit grandparents would never let me forget how we got here. The voice of black radio, the voice of those people who understand technology and get their voice out. So much of us. My father got a job in Washington, D.C., and black radio kept that community together, kept them informed, kept them engaged, and helped them understand when we go in a direction, we go together. And so I just want to close by saying we have got to continue the traditions of fighting for each other. And when I say we, I'm not talking about black people, I'm not talking about Democrats, I'm talking about we, the larger country in which we're in. I was taught by my parents, never let somebody pull you so low as to hate you. Yeah. I was running for a town hall in Iowa. I don't know if you all know this, but I ran for president once. And I'm running for a town hall stage, and a big guy sees me. Could have played in the Pac-10. I'm shouting at my brother over here. And he says to me, dude, I want you to punch Donald Trump in the face. And I look at him and I go, dude, that's a felony, man. That's not how we beat Bull Connor. They didn't bring bigger dogs and bigger fire hoses. You all know this, right? They led with love, fierce love. And they changed the frequency of the whole nation. I don't know if they changed Bull Connor from being a racist to loving black people, but you know what they did do? They overwhelmed that hate by waking the conscience of a country, by pricking the moral imagination of a nation, and getting everybody to get more engaged and more involved. That's the power we have. And as I sit in the Union Hall, I want to end by just saying this. I was raised by Union grandparents, worked on assembly lines in Detroit, and if there's anything that comes out of Union, we know our philosophy. We know how we got here. United. The people, the power of the people is greater than the people in power. That the people united will never be defeated. That's the Union way. That's the American way. One nation under God. And we're going to put more indivisible back into this one nation right here, right now. Michigan's going to lead the way. Thank you.
We give it up for Cory Booker, y'all. We give it up for Cory Booker, this man representing us in the United States Senate. We're blessed to have him. And for those who didn't know yet, we're blessed to be able to claim him here in Detroit. Okay, he might live in New Jersey, but we know where he's from. Yeah, he know a lot of Detroit stuff before he did that. But to answer the question directly, I do think that it's important that people be able to trust the people who they put in public office. Yeah. And to be able to see that if you look one of them in the eye and they tell you something, that you believe them and that they're going to do it. Part of the reason why when I walked in here, I went and shook everybody's hand and then went and sat down with these students here from Wayne State.
Hello.
Yeah. The reason I did that is because I think that in order to be held accountable, you have to be accountable. In order to actually respond, you have to listen. And in order to listen, you have to actually show up. I've been to all 83 counties in Michigan, most of them twice. And that's because it's important for us to show up so we actually understand what we have to do. And I think if you look at what me and Governor Whitmer have been working on, it's the stuff that we heard. When I did a 19 city tour in 2019 called Thriving Cities, how do we improve quality of life and create generational economic opportunity for people who live in cities? In 19 out of 19 cities, people said, look, if we can let people expand their criminal records, then they'll have access to economic opportunity. Because that's what's holding them back. So I heard that. And so in 2020, in October, during the pandemic, during COVID, all the stuff we were dealing with, I worked to make sure that the state of Michigan passed the most progressive, expansive, and inclusive automatic criminal record expungement program in the country that's going to make 1 million people job eligible over the next 10 years. So I use that as an example because I went and listened to people all over Michigan in every corner, heard what they told me, and went and did something about it. That is exactly what politics is about. Judge Greg Mathis was here last night, and he said that when you talk about politics, it is the art or the science of deciding who gets what. I love that. Who gets what? And the way I think about politics, inspired by that great Detroiter, is that my politics are making sure that we get what's ours. And so I make that commitment to every generation in the state of Michigan, that we have something to do to make sure that every person sees a place for themselves in Michigan's future. That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans today. Republicans' future and Republicans' Michigan is too small for y'all. It doesn't include everybody. They don't see a space for you in it. But ours does. And so that's what we're voting for. That is how we vote for generations. Because we see those generations as bigger, better, and bolder than we could even imagine. That's what your grandparents thought. That's what your grandparents thought. And you are doing more than they could ever imagine. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And so that's what we have a foundation to lay on. So let's make somebody remember that between now and November 8th. Make somebody remember that and feel that. When they feel that from you, that will pull the power from them and put it into this political process and make us all better. All right? Thank you, CBTU. Thank you, TULC. Thank you, Detroit. Thank you, Michigan. Let's go win together, y'all. All right?
Yeah. We want to thank everybody who came down today, and we're about to eat some of this good food now. We're eating food. But before we eat the good food and fellowship, you can ask anything.
I think you should say publicly what you said to me privately, that when the lieutenant governor gets reelected and the governor gets reelected, you pledged that you were going to shave your head, right?
As I was saying, we have a lot of fun because, you know, we do that in our culture. But we also take time to be serious. You know, on behalf of the leadership, the members, our executive board of CBTU Detroit, Region 7, Canton, Flint, Pontiac, and Lansing, we thank you for watching this program. CBTU says, know before you go.
Yes.
Vote. That's one of the reasons why we're having this program. You know, there was a forest, and inside the forest it kept shrinking. And they couldn't understand it. There was an axe in the forest. And the axe was very clever. And he convinced them that he was one of them because his handle was made of wood, and the forest kept being chopped down. Know who is on your team. Know what you're going to do before you go and vote. And vote, everybody. Again, we thank you for watching this program. Until next time, disclaimer is that CBTU does not endorse any candidate or proposal, but we do endorse your right to vote. Exercise your power. Make it happen. Make it do what it do. Thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.